All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Rocco Bernardo Coaching, where we talk all things fitness, nutrition, and weight loss. However, I have gotten a lot of questions recently that look like this, where people are asking me, how do I gain weight? How do I put on muscle? And as this is what I've been doing for the past several months, and I've really loved the results and I've learned a ton about it, I'm going to make this video to help as many people as possible. Now, if that is you and you're in a spot where you've finished losing weight, or maybe you're just someone who's always struggled to gain weight, this is going to be the video for you. Stick around to the end, and I'm going to show you very practical ways for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and desserts, how to eat to be healthy and put on muscle as quickly as humanly possible. Now, if your goal is to eat everything you can or simply house crumble cookie, as one of my friends asked me about, this is not the video for you, okay? My goal is to help people be healthy. I'm a registered nurse. I'm in school to be a firefighter, and my goal is not to create more obese patients, right? My goal is to create healthy people that have long and prosperous lives. So if that sounds good to you, then make sure to stick around to the end. I'm very excited. All right, so this here is the 6-month difference as I've undergone this bulking process, and it's really hard to tell in this picture, so I'm gonna make it a little more obvious. Now, after I remove the background, it makes it a little bit easier to tell. So shoulders and traps are bigger, arms are a little bit bigger, my lats are a little bit bigger, chest has a little more size here, really hard to tell in this picture, and I haven't gained like a little bit of fat around the sides, right? But not a whole lot. And so that is the beauty of this clean bulk process where I'm eating good foods. The weight that I'm gaining is going to the muscles. Now, because this picture is hard to tell, I wanted to prove that it was working. And so again, in only 6 months, a clean bulk. So I'm not putting on a ton of fat. I'm getting way stronger in the gym and I'm getting results that I love. Basically, all of my muscles have grown about a half inch over the past 6 months. And if you're going to sit there and think, oh, that's not that much, I don't know what to tell you, right? We live in a world where steroids and steroid enhanced bodies are normalized. This is what it looks like to be natural. You go, you put in the work day after day, and you will get results. You have to trust the process. This is mine, all right? So results are slower than we want to get as big as we want. But the goal is to do this for life and to be healthy, not to fill ourselves with chemicals and come out with a bunch of long-term health problems, all right? And I do want to add that I'm very happy with this physique. It's really hard to tell in the pictures that I can see the growth. The growth is a lot more obvious in person, in real life. My bathroom just doesn't have good lighting, all right? But this has been a very exciting process. You will thoroughly enjoy it if you're putting in the work and doing things correctly, and you will get results. Now, step one is to prioritize protein. Trying to put on muscle without eating protein is like trying to build a house without wood, right? So if you take a little shack, you add wood, you get a big house. If you take a little person, you add protein, you get a bigger person. It is as easy as that. You cannot build the body that you want without protein. So in this process, I've come up with the idea of major versus minor protein sources. So for me, I have eggs almost every day for breakfast. I have chicken almost every day for lunch. For dinner, I eat either salmon or a lean ground beef most of the time. And then I usually at this point have a second meal that's a dairy product of some sort. So milk, Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese. I'll do a protein shake in there sometimes if needed, just because it lets me boost my protein numbers without adding a lot of calories. So typically, if you're looking at something as a protein source, it is going to have 1 gram of protein for every 10 calories. So what that means is if it's 200 calories to count as a protein source, it should have roughly 20 grams of protein. If it's 300 calories with 20 grams of protein, you're starting to move away from that efficient protein source. It could be a minor protein source, however, which is going to be a lot of the carbs that we eat regularly anyway that slowly adds up throughout the day. Now, baked beans are a great source of carbs and protein. Ice cream, the ice cream I eat almost every night, has 5 to 8 grams of protein, depending on the flavor. Cheese has some protein, but it's mostly fat. This tortellini that I eat at the end of the night a lot of the times now is very protein packed, even though it is a pasta, and so it's primarily carbs. Fruit has protein, vegetables have protein. potatoes, and some grains, especially whole grains. All of these things have protein. And so it adds up, it adds to our overall numbers, which is awesome. But you can't eat enough ice cream to have it count as a protein source. You're going to boost your calories way too much because it's way off from that 1 gram of protein for every 10 calories rule of thumb to follow. So there's major protein sources, which are awesome. That's what we build our meals and our daily intake around. And then there's minor protein sources that help us boost our goals and help us get to the protein limit that we're supposed to be shooting for. And one of my favorite sayings is this: if it's less than 30 grams of protein, it's a snack. It does not count as a meal. It's simply not enough. So yes, if you eat a 2,000 calorie dessert instead of a meal one day, and there's less than 30 grams of protein, it was not a meal. You didn't eat a meal that day because you didn't have 30 grams of protein. So it's kind of a silly benchmark, but it's really good to wrap our head around, because even when our goal is to gain weight, we still need to be prioritizing protein. And if you have a meal that doesn't hit 30 grams of protein, you're really just not going to hit your mark. Now, let's do a little bit of math here. I'm not going to go super in depth. However, I personally am the type of person who loves to understand how things work and the why behind what I'm doing. Now, part of that's personality. I think part of that is because part of becoming a registered nurse and getting your bachelor's degree in nursing, you dive deep into the why behind everything that you do. And then I went on and got my master's in Christian ministries. And so between theology and ministry practice, there was always a need to understand the why, the reason. Why do I believe this? Why do I do this? So we're going to dive into that math a little bit here. Now, for your protein goals, you should eat ideally 0.7 grams of protein to 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight that you weigh. So if you weigh 180 pounds, you're going to be eating anywhere between 126 and 180 grams of protein to stay within your goals. Now, I personally, and for all of my clients, keep us on the upper end of this, because again, you cannot successfully build muscle without protein. And so I would rather go to the top end of that and just make sure that we're absolutely maximizing the protein synthesis, muscle synthesis process. Now, to dive into that math and understand the bulking process a little bit better, we have 4 calories for every 1 gram of protein. So to take the grams of protein that we calculated up here, put them down into this equation, we get that we are consuming 504 to 720 calories of protein per day to stay within that protein range. As you can see, this becomes important as we switch from a cut to a bulk, where we go from losing weight to gaining weight, because the amount of protein that we need to eat each day doesn't really change that much. So again, if we use 180 grams of protein, for both of these equations, that's 720 calories. But when I was losing weight, I was only eating about 1,700 calories. Now that I'm trying to gain weight, I'm eating about 3,300 calories every day. And so after hitting our protein goals, which doesn't really change between the two, I used to have to eat only 980 calories, but now I have to eat 2,580 additional calories. That is a significant difference. So how do we fill that gap? And that is what this video is all about. But before I dive in, I want to make sure to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It helps me to be able to make more content for you, and it helps you to get notified when new content does come out, so that way you can always stay on top of my newest video, and that way you can always be learning and growing and accomplishing your weight loss or fitness or muscle building goals. Now, to cover a couple basic principles, just to start off, calorie counting. I am a huge advocate for that because it allows you to put on weight in a calculated manner. So instead of gaining a bunch of fat along with your muscle, it helps you prioritize muscle gain and minimize fat gain. One, because your body, when you are leaner, is better equipped at building muscle. And so if you get really fat, your body will just become less effective at putting on that muscle. And we really want to avoid that because we're trying to optimize everything as much as we can. Also, you're just not going to like the look when you get fat. And to be in the gym, kicking butt, succeeding, but getting fatter and fatter and hating the way you look in the mirror isn't what we want either. So by calorie counting, you can minimize the extra fat gain while still crushing your muscle gaining goals. Now, secondly, we're going to focus in this video on healthy carbs and fats. So what is the point of working out and looking good if you're just setting yourself up for health issues? So I talked people at the gym about this all the time. And pretty much if you're in the gym, you generally agree with me on this, but or at least the people that I've talked to, because we're doing this not only to look good, but we're doing this to be healthy. And so yes, putting on muscle is cool, but if I'm going to put on muscle, increase my saturated fat, have a heart attack in 30 years, then what was the point? Right? Why put in all that effort? Why look good? Why feel good if we're just creating health issues for ourselves? That's not the point. Do this the smart, healthy way. Also, you've probably heard me say this before, but life is messy and being healthy is hard. Making good decisions most of the time is what we're after. We're making guidelines, not rules. So as we get into this video, should you do these things most of the time? Yes. Can you break them occasionally? Absolutely. It is about making good choices most of the time. And again, this is about creating lasting change. There are no shortcuts. It takes time. You saw the pictures of me, my before and after that 6 months. This is a slow process, but it is absolutely worth it if you stick it out. Everybody that has the body that you want has been in the gym managing their diet well for a long, long time. So what should breakfast look like if we're trying to gain weight? Here I put up a bunch of examples for you that you should look over, and you can make any of these. The things highlighted in blue are your protein sources. Honestly, I go through all 6 of these depending on the situation I'm in, and all of them are good. You can make them all taste good or modify them. But if you eat like this 90% of the time, you will crush your muscle building goals. Now, some types of foods for a high protein breakfast are going to be seen here. All of these are foods that I eat regularly in my diet, and they're all really good sources of protein, or alternatives that are good sources of protein. So bread, for example, this isn't a great source of protein, but it has way more protein and nutrients than a normal bread does. All right, what about lunch? All right, this is my lunch. It has not changed a whole lot from the days when I was losing weight. If you remember that video, if you've seen that YouTube video, I have changed the chicken supply that I use. And so this is the chicken I eat. I'll show you a picture on the next slide. I've increased the carb sources because that's the number one easiest way to gain weight, right? We increase our carbs and our fats. I can still add and would still recommend adding in a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil if you're trying to increase the fat in your lunch. I don't normally do that. I just haven't been struggling to hit that goal of my fats. And then I actually have dropped the amount of vegetables I eat. The fiber was actually too much, and it was causing me to be super, super gassy and just painful stomach and didn't smell great. So I reduced my vegetables to about 120 grams, but I do that for fiber and vitamins. And I still try to eat fruit with every meal because it's a good source of carbs and more vitamins. So here are pictures of really good protein sources that I use for lunch. My brother got me onto this turkey breast. That's an awesome protein source. I eat these chicken fajitas almost every day. I get them from Aldi. It is $4 a bag. I eat 2 servings at once, so it's $2 a serving. And awesome, super quick chicken source. Again, canned chicken, even cheaper and still pretty good. I mix mine with their hot sauce or a taco packet. I have some friends who love tuna, so I threw that in there. These are pretty easy. You'd probably have to eat a decent amount of them if you're trying to gain weight. Probably like 3 of them or 4 of them in a meal, but also really good, super quick, super easy if you need something that's grab and go. And these over here are also from Aldi or Walmart. Probably most grocery stores are selling stuff like this at this point, where they're pre-cooked, they're super flavorful, and they are, you can look around at the nutrition facts, try to keep them close to that 1 to 10 protein ratio, but these are really, really tasty. All right, and this is how I manage my side dishes for lunch. Again, you've seen all of these pictures, super quick and easy, where I just grab them, split them into the number of servings I want, and just throw them in with that chicken that's pre-cooked, and it makes lunch super, super quick, super easy, and still able to accomplish my goals. I have fruit, again, with just about every meal, and this broccoli or these Aldi or just prepackaged salads are a really good way to get fiber and nutrients. Now, one change that I want to talk about that was not worth it. I thought to myself, all right, so I'm trying to gain weight now. I can switch up the condiments that I use, switch to a barbecue sauce or ranch dressing from the 0-calorie hot sauce. And what I discovered is that it was not worth it. Now, if you love ranch and you want to add it back in, or if you never cut it out while you were losing weight, great for you. However, the one day I had a really dry chicken, so I threw a bunch of ranch in to get it to an edible state. And At the end of the day, I went to have my nightly ice cream and I couldn't find the calories. I was so confused. Where did they go? I didn't eat anything that was that different from the day before. And what I realized was that the ranch I needed was 433 calories. So I switched back to hot sauce. I don't really use regular condiments anymore. They're just not worth it. And yes, there's low calorie options you can check out. Again, do whatever you want to. But for me, I like hot sauce. I just stick with hot sauce. But if you are going to switch to condiments, just be aware that they add up really fast. All right, dinner. So again, if you watched my weight loss video, then you'll know that I really have not changed much for dinner. So about 4 to 5 times a week, I eat 93% lean beef. It is good protein with some saturated fats. And twice a week, I eat salmon, good protein plus omega-3 fatty acids. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again, saturated fat is not our enemy, but it does increase our LDL or bad cholesterol, which can lead to heart attacks and strokes or other cardiovascular issues. So I want to avoid that. But 7% of the beef that I eat being saturated fats is not going to hurt me. And throwing those omega-3s in there have really good heart health benefits as well. I eat pasta with Alfredo or red sauce for dinner. I still don't eat vegetables with dinner. I have them for breakfast and lunch, and that's good enough for me. And I still like fruit, so I add fruit into dinner most nights as well. Again, not a whole lot has changed here. I've simply increased my portions. So these are some high protein dinner options. These three things on the left are three that I eat pretty much regularly. So again, this is the beef I eat 4 to 5 times a week, the salmon I eat probably twice a week, and this tortellini from Aldi is really good. They have a cheese or a chicken one. Both have the same nutrition facts, so protein and carbs and calories and everything. And they're just a really good way, because I'm going to eat pasta anyway, but now it's pasta with added protein from either the chicken or the cheese. So really good options to keep in mind. And I can eat this 5, 6, 7 nights a week without any problems. I'll just mix up the sauce on the pasta and it's awesome. Again, more options for frozen things, because the things that you keep in reserve in your pantry, the things you have on hand, are what you're going to default to when you're busy. So having good protein sources like a beef patty that's saved. Again, you'd have to look at that because they could be too high in fat. Frozen salmon, meatballs, or this is in my pantry, but this pink salmon packets, really, really good things to grab and go when you're in a hurry or just don't have time to cook. So again, keeping high protein options as backups will help you when you're in a time crunch and didn't have time to cook. And as I've said before, anything that you can eat for lunch, you can eat for dinner. In my head, those two meals are almost exactly the same. So the same quick options, but I will do these RB fries. You can get them, again, Walmart or Aldi, probably some other places as well. If I don't have potatoes for lunch and I'm in a hurry, usually on the weekends, I try to grab these curly fries just because it's a nice treat. And they're not as healthy, they're fried, a little bit breaded or seasoned or whatever it is. But again, they taste good and I eat them occasionally. All right, let's talk snacks because we're trying to boost those calories. Snacks help. First up, as you know, I am a bodybuilder, which means I see the world in terms of protein. So high protein snacks, they follow the 1 to 10, 1 gram of protein for every 10 calories ratio. Protein powder, always a good one. Vanilla Oikos, 000, awesome. Fairlife milk, awesome. Even the chocolate one, still follows that ratio. Cottage cheese is really good. This is a zero or low carb protein tortilla. So it's high protein, high fiber with some peanut butter, which is fat with protein, and some apple. So just kind of a quick, delicious snack I made at home. You can throw some honey on top of that and make it even better. But just an idea. These things over here on the left are things I eat when I'm at home. And these things on the right are protein options I grab and go. So I'll pack them in lunches or I'll stop at gas stations to get them. Again, high protein snacks. Now for non-protein snacks, again, the things on the left are my go-tos. I'm really, really not big on snacks just because I like the whole foods and the meal foods so much. But this popcorn is still a really good one. It's low calorie, but it's a really good fiber source. 0 calorie pop. I drink this at least once a day. It's so delicious and it does not waste any calories. Lara bars, these are mostly a fat and carb source. They're made of real ingredients, primarily fruit and nuts. So I really like these for granola bar options, and they do help boost your calories. Peanut butter filled pretzels, pretty much the only processed snack I keep on hand. I just really like them, and again, good carb and fat source. And Rice Krispie treats, I have these before the gym just about every day, usually one, sometimes two, depending on how good I want my pump to be. It's just kind of a hack for a good pump at the gym, but I eat it, so I figured I'd throw it here. Now over here on the right are snacks that people around me have been consuming because I really don't eat a whole bunch. So I wanted to get inspiration from the people I know. These, packs of crackers are quick and easy. Uncrustables are awesome. The GM at my gym and his wife, they post about these flaming hot chili lime or Cheetos all the time. So I just thought that was funny and I put them on here. You can eat whatever you want to, right? That's the point of this question mark. Whatever snack you desire can fit into this diet. I just, have options. So I'm trying to give you some examples. And trail mix, honestly delicious, really not that bad for you. But not that great for you either. So just something to keep in mind, but I do like trail mix. All right, and my favorite meal of the day. Let's talk desserts. Now, the general rule of thumb that I follow as somebody who loves dessert and eats dessert every single day is I get 350 to 500 calories of my daily calories from desserts. Now, the primary choices of my go-tos are going to be this ice cream or these cookies. Super easy, super quick to make and prep. Absolutely delicious. You can change up the flavor of both of those. These are my two go-tos. But I am counting anything that is essentially empty sugar. So sugar with no nutritional value and usually processed and artificially made into this category. Because again, the point is to be healthy and the point is to have a diet that you love. And so desserts have a place in this diet, absolutely, and they can help you boost your calories a bit, especially when you're trying to gain weight and it's so hard to eat extra calories of fruit. But if you throw dessert in there, it makes it a lot easier to hit those goals. So for health purposes, I try to keep the general rule of thumb, 350 to 500 calories, but any of this stuff can be enjoyed. And yes, full sugar pop, I'm counting as a dessert. There are no benefits to drinking it other than its taste and its empty calories. Cocoa Pebbles, absolutely my favorite cereal. Started working those in occasionally as well at the moment. Awesome. And then the rest of these are just more traditional dessert options. All right, now this slide here is my 10-second summary if you want to screenshot this. However, I do ask that if you're going to screenshot it and you haven't already, like this video. That's kind of the trade that I'm going for here. But my friend texted me, and before I had time to get this video, he was like, hey, I want to gain weight. How do I do it? And this essentially summarizes the text that I sent him and therefore summarizes this video as well. So take a picture of that, read this over. This is the 10-second summary of how to gain weight healthily while still hitting your protein goals and still succeeding in the gym. All right, thank you guys so much for watching another video. I hope this is super, super helpful. Like I said at the beginning, I get this question all the time from people that are trying to gain weight. And so I know most of my content is about losing weight because I think that's what most of the people in our country need. There's also a ton of people that need and want to gain weight. And it's the journey that I've been on. It's been super exciting. And so this is the hack. This is the cheat codes. This is what to do. If you want help with this, please check the link in the description. You can sign up to meet with me and see if we're a good fit for one-on-one coaching so I can really help you, come alongside you and help you crush these goals. But even if you're not interested in that, feel free to stick around, watch more of my videos. I would love to just help you accomplish these health goals and weight goals and gym success goals.